What's good, everybody? It's when I come back at another video. So this video, I want to talk about how you can have a renewed view on life, right? I want this video to be dedicated to anyone out there who may feel as though they're in a rut, right? That they feel as though they're quote unquote stuck, right? That, they could have tried many things and taken action to try to change their situation, and it just feels as though nothing is falling to place, that nothing is going their way, and it feels as though their life has been placed on pause. And I want to dedicate this video to you because hopefully it gives you insight on how you can begin changing your life. Now, this video, of course, is titled "Here's How to Have a Renewed View on Life," which means a brand new view of life. In order for you to have a brand new view of life, right, which is essentially be you being excited, you being smiling, you being optimistic, eager to take on the day, you feeling your best, you feeling good. In order to get to that point where you're feeling that way, you first need to change your perspective of life, right? You need to change your perspective. Now, let's do some examples right here, right? Some people may feel as though they're tied down, or that their occupation, for example, is not desirable, right? Like they would much rather prefer to do something else. Now, the unhappiness that you've experienced in your present occupation, because you've experienced that unhappiness, you know that that is not your dream. You know that that is not where you're going to be at forever, that this is just temporary. But in that moment of unhappiness, it still did you a favor because you've experienced contrast. What that means is you've experienced something you didn't like. And so because you've experienced something you didn't like, you've automatically placed into your vortex, if you will. Or for vortex, it's like the invisible entity that where all your dreams and desires exist, right? You've experienced unhappiness, and where your current occupation isn't to your liking, right? So in that moment of dislike, that's when you put into your vortex what it is that you actually wanted, right? Sometimes we need to experience what we don't want in order for us to figure out what we do want, right? So if your occupation is, either you're not doing work that you enjoy, either you're not being compensated to the level that you would like to be compensated, either you're working too hard or the hours are crazy, right? If it's undesirable, that is what's allowing you to become clear in your mind. It's giving you clarity on what it is that you do want. Maybe that tiring occupation that feels as though you're underpaid, maybe that occupation is what was needed in order for you to now desire having, another occupation where you're able to be paid more handsomely. The hours are better, that you have a lot more flexibility, right? You may not have known you wanted that without having had experienced the undesirable occupation, right? So what you need to understand is that things are not necessarily bad. These quote unquote bad things are not necessarily bad, right? Because experiencing what you didn't want in your current occupation has now given you clarity on what it is that you want. So you may experience that and you may think, my dream now is to just live my life on the beach and just relax and just be by the water and have my feet in the sand all day, every day, right? That could have sparked that dream or that desire, right? So that still is a good thing for you. But what you also need to understand is where you're at right now in your current reality is where you're at, right? And you can either choose to be happy about it or miserable. And most people, if there's somewhere they don't want to be, they'll actively choose to be miserable all the time, when in actuality you have the choice of what it is that you want to feel, right? You can either be miserable, right, or happy. You are free to decide. And the reason why I say this is because even if that occupation that you're at is undesirable, right, you can still find things to be grateful for. You can still appreciate it in the sense that that occupation, because you have it, one, it keeps you busy, right? It has you working. Two, It probably has you, using your mind. You might have to solve problems or assist people, right? And I'm sure people might appreciate what it is that you do, right? Three, the compensation that you receive for doing that job. That's what allows you to pay rent, pay bills, pay expenses, be able to get groceries, be able to, if you have children, pay for the expense of your children, be able to pay for vacations, gas in your vehicle, right? So it's allowing you to have your basic needs met. And so you can be grateful for these things, right? Even if you understand that your occupation is not the dream, right? If it's something just temporary, you can still have appreciation for it. And you can also use your power as a creator to speak things into existence, right? If it's been challenging work, you can begin telling yourself that, that the work is easy, that things are effortless, things run effortlessly for you, things run so smooth for you, everything goes well, everyone is so nice and kind, right? And even if that may be very far with your current reality of what you're experiencing, right? You speaking that into existence is what will allow it to push forward towards becoming a reality. Because then, as you're saying the things how you want them to be, you're going to feel a lot better. You're going to feel more excited. You're going to radiate more positive energy, right? Because if things aren't to your liking and you continue harping on all the bad things and all the negative things that are happening, you are going to be vibrating negative emotion and negative energy the majority of the time. And if that's the energy you're vibrating, if that's the energy you're putting out, then that is what you are effectively receiving. So in this lifetime, in order to help improve your situation, you need to change your perspective. And by changing your perspective, you want to begin looking for the good. You want to begin speaking things into existence. You want to be speaking about how you want things to be, right? What is the best case scenario? If you're at that same occupation, what is the best case scenario for this occupation, right? Best case scenario would be that the work is easy and effortless, that everyone is kind and a pleasure to work with, that you are being compensated well, and you are constantly receiving raises and promotion, that you're doing great and fulfilling work, and opportunities are making its way to you, flowing, right? Like, you want to begin saying these things because you want these things to happen, right? You don't want these bad things to continue happening, right? And if these bad situations keep happening, and every time something bad happens, people are always gossiping to their friends and their loved ones about all the bad things that's happening in their life, which means they keep reliving those bad events because they keep telling that same story. So they're always vibrating bad energy, negative emotion. It's time for a switch. This is why some people feel as though they're in a rut, because emotionally they're in a rut. Emotionally they're at a mood, and their default setting, their default mood, right? A mood is just a feeling that you feel over an extended period of time. So their mood is negative energy, negative emotion. That's where their mood is. So that's why there's people who feel as though their life doesn't change because they've been vibrating the same emotion the entire time, or they feel as though things just continue getting worse because they just continue vibrating the bad emotion. If you want a renewed view of life, you need to start by changing your perspective, right? Because you can always find the good in every situation. And even if there is a quote unquote bad situation, that bad situation is there to help give you clarity of what it is that you actually want, right? That frustrating occupation that you might have may be the catalyst for you to desire an opportunity where it allows you to travel the world and get paid to do it, or to work remotely, or to whatever your dream is, right? Like, having experienced something that's not desirable, you can begin using that and say, you know what, this is what I've experienced, that's okay, but this is what I want. And you can focus on that. And in the time being, even if your attention isn't on that and you're looking at your current occupation, you can still talk about how you want things to be there, how you want things to change, right? Rather than harping on the bad, right? Because it already happened, right? Because it's in your present reality, it's already happened, which means it already manifested. So it's technically old news, right? Because you are a creator, so you're always creating and you're always manifesting. So if it already exists, then it already happened. So that means it's already manifested. So it's old news, right? So this is why you should pay less attention and less emphasis on the physical reality as it is, unless it is how you want it to be, right? If it's not how you want it to be, then you shouldn't place your all of your attention on it. You should be able to look at it and smile. And the reason why you want to smile is because then, even if it's something undesirable, you're smiling because you appreciate that it existed in your life, because now it's giving you further clarity of what it is that you do want, right? And when you think about it, that's actually the goal all the time, because we were put on this earth to experience outrageous joy. That has been the goal. Every human being on this planet is always chasing happiness. If we can choose to be happy every second of the day, then we would choose that over any other emotion, right? That would make our life complete if we could be happy all the time. So that's what we're actually chasing after. We're chasing after happiness. And so if you're able to find a way to be happy all the time, regardless of your set of circumstances and your environment, your situation, right? That means that's unconditional happiness, unconditional joy, right? That's you finding happiness from within. And if something shows up that isn't to your liking, you can still appreciate it and say, okay, well, this wasn't to my liking, but now I know what is to my liking. And so let me get excited about what's in store for me in the future. So I want you to think about your life. Just imagine you were in an empty imaginary room, right? And in that room, there is a door. And just imagine on the other side of your door is the vortex. It is where all of your dreams and desires and everything you could ever want, right? All the money in the world, all the nice cars, all the nice houses, all of the amazing experiences, the lover, everything, right? Great relationships, all that. Just imagine all the things you've already wanted. Your true self, your inner being, right? The universe, it's heard you. It's heard your prayer. It's heard you asking. Now just imagine, in order for that door to open, you need to be smiling. You need to be getting excited. You need to be emitting positive energy. And the more energy you emit, the more excited you get, the more optimistic you get. Just think about it. The more that door opens to allow all of these things to flow into your life. That is how you need to view yourself, and that is how you need to view life. That life is about joy. Life is about smiling and being excited, because as you're putting out that energy, then those events have to happen because you're attracting it back to you. So that's effectively what it is when you're angry and frustrated and worried and anxious. That door that's supposed to allow all the good things to flow, it basically begins closing, and you're not allowing it in, right? So the door begins closing shut, and you know it's closing shut because you're feeling those negative emotions. And when you feel negative emotions, you feel bad. So like, you know, you're headed in the wrong direction, right? That's your warning sign to turn around, that you're heading in the wrong direction, right? So as you're feeling good, that's when you feel your best. And we've known this innately because we enjoy feeling good. And you feeling good, that is what opens the door to allow good things into your life. So that is how you begin having a renewed view of life. It's when you change your perspective, because you can find the good in any and every situation. Realize that you're blessed regardless of where you're at, regardless of the situation that you're in the perfect spot. Because if you're in the spot where everything's going well, then perfect. That's really good. If you're in a spot where it feels as though nothing is going well, you're also in the perfect spot, because you're in the midst of contrast, and that contrast allows you to get clear on what it is that you do want, and then you can put your attention and focus on where it is that you're headed. So long story short, it's life is all about perspective. So you can never lose. At any point, you can erase the scoreboard and begin anew and create your life from then forward, or from then on, right? So that wraps up the video. Enjoy the video. Do leave a like and subscribe, as we are on the road to 1 million subscribers. So once again, it's Joel, and I'm out. I'll see you guys in the next video.